Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
If you're a serious hunter and you haven't tried Hex yet, this is the edge you're missing. Hunters have always talked about animals having a sixth sense, feeling you before they ever see you. Hex works by completely blocking your body's natural energy, helping you get closer without tipping them off. Most hunters don't believe it at first, until they hunt in it. And once they do, it makes them believers fast. Go to hexhunting.com, that's HECS hunting.com, and use code WAYPOINT to save $20 on a full Hex system.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Victory Drive. Hope everyone had a great Easter weekend. I know Ash and I did. We went down to Little Rock, Arkansas to record this episode with Father Stephen Gadberry, actually, and it was an absolute banger of an episode. It was amazing. We spent the whole first episode is just talking essentially about Catholicism and, Christianity in general. And it was awesome. It was great. He got to answer a lot of questions I've been having. I've been, personally on my side of things, I've been thinking a lot about just Catholicism and Orthodox Christianity for quite some time. And it's been kind of in the forefront of my mind. Just I guess a little backstory on myself. I just been kind of bouncing around from church to church and wanted to get some answers. And Father Stephen Gadberry, I met him online a while ago now. Actually been kind of talking back and forth for quite a while here, and knew I wanted to do an episode with him as soon as I could, but with time permitting and all that stuff, we got the trailer. We had to get the trailer built and kind of on the road for a little bit before we took it all the way down to Little Rock, but we finally got down there, and it was a great episode. It really was. He's a very good speaker and a really good person, and we talk all about, honestly, just a lot about faith in general, and it was great to talk about all that over Easter. It's a very holy time of the year, and he answered a lot of the questions that I've had for quite a while, so it was awesome. We podcasted for quite a while. It was I think 3.5, almost 4 hours that we recorded for. So we are going to break them up because we decided we took a break in the middle there, and then we got into kind of more hunting and guns and all the other fun things that he likes to do outside of, I guess, preaching. So we're going to break them up into 2 episodes, and, first episode, part 1, is coming out this week, and it's going to be all about Christianity and Catholicism. So that's what's going out right now. That's what this episode's for. And then next week, we're going to come out with the I guess, more hunting-oriented and kind of the personal side of Father Stephen Gadberry. And I thought it was great. I really liked it. So hopefully you guys do too. I'm not going to sit here and bore you too much with a long intro. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. But before we do, got to talk about Grizzly Coolers. Grizzly Coolers made right here in Iowa. Make great coolers, great drinkware, and hunting blinds and apparel, all that good stuff. If you guys are in the market for a new cooler, check out Grizzly Coolers and use code WCB at checkout to save some money. You can also check out Patreon. This whole episode, the entire video episode, is out now on Patreon, full in its entirety. All almost 4 hours of footage is on Patreon right now. If you want to go watch that and get a jump start on next week's episode, then you can go ahead and get on patreon.com and search Victory Drive and subscribe to the Backbone tier, and you'll have access to that right now. And then Also, these episodes are going to be going up on YouTube here soon. I think Ashley's going to work on that, or Ashley and I are going to work on that tonight and try to get this week's episode on YouTube either today or either Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. It'll be on there very soon. So if you guys want to go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel and watch it, then you definitely can. Otherwise, it'll be right here on Spotify, Apple, and all that stuff in audio form only, because I like to keep Spotify and Apple audio because it's that's kind of the place where people go to if they just want to listen to it in the background or while they're driving or something like that. So that's all the places you can watch the episodes and all that good stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. It's all I got for you. Stay safe out there. It's starting to warm up. Spring is nigh. Turkey season is upon us. Stay safe out there. Have fun. Good luck. And enjoy the episode. Stephen Gadberry, thanks for having us here.
Thanks, Jacob.
It's been awesome. Yeah, it's a nice trip coming down here, honestly, too.
Yeah, it's a pretty place, and you're coming from Iowa. It's a nice drive through Missouri and North Arkansas.
Yeah.
Come down here, but yeah, it's been fun. We talked back and forth for a while, and it's good to meet in person.
Yeah, no kidding. I can't even really remember. I know, like, Jesse Happ from Kickapoo Creek Knives, he kind of told me, he's like, oh man, you need to talk to Father Stephen Gadberry. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've never met him, I guess, but
He's
I'm sitting there, I'm like, because we just have a small podcast. We're nothing huge. So I'm like, well, he was on Sean Ryan and all these other things and everything else. I'm like, he's not going to have time for the little Victory Drive podcast. But
I love just talking with people. So it doesn't matter the size of the podcast I do or the size of the person. Like I just enjoy talking to people, and that's kind of what I just try to do in life. Be present to the moment and be present to the person in front of me.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Why I really started the podcast too. Is I've always been a people person. I love talking to people and meeting new people. So this is gonna be fun. But I guess we'll probably start with just like a background of yourself. And I know it's probably, I guess you've done a few podcasts before. You've probably told that story. You can go as in depth or whatever as you want. But kind of how, because I know you were in the Air Force for a while, and kind of your upbringing and what led you to where you are now, I guess.
Cool. Yeah. So born and raised here in Arkansas. Was raised in the Delta, about an hour west of Memphis, Tennessee, on a rice and soybean farm.
A rice farm?
Yeah, rice.
In America?
Arkansas is the top rice producing state in America.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know. Whenever I think of rice, I always think Vietnam. I don't think of Arkansas.
And Arkansas in the summer kind of feels like Vietnam, even though I've never been there. It's hot and humid, and tons of mosquitoes.
Yeah, I've seen the movies. I've seen the movies. That's good enough. So
it kind of feels what it looks like in the movies, like hot and muggy.
Okay, so you grew up on a rice farm. Yeah. Is it like a rice paddy then? In Arkansas, too?
You wouldn't call it a paddy, but I just call it a rice field. But it would look like a rice paddy. We'd make fun of you if you called it a paddy. But but it looks like that. You have your levees going through the field, and the flooded fields. You got water in there all the time. So that's why the mosquitoes love it.
Oh, I bet they do. So I guess I'm so ignorant because in Iowa it's corn, soybeans, and that's pretty standard. You can see it. It's grown from the ground and everything else, and you harvest it. How do you harvest rice?
Say like you would soybeans, combine.
Oh, really?
Combine, yep. Goes through and cuts it and separates it and everything. Yeah.
So you dry them out and you flood it and then it dries out.
Correct.
And then you harvest.
Once it grows and it heads out, and then the rice fills the heads, then it basically dies off like the soybeans, and you let it dry just a little bit. You don't want to dry out too much, because if it dries too much, there's not enough moisture in the grain. Then you lose money whenever you go to sell it, because they sell by weight. So you find this balance. If it's too wet, you lose money because they got to dry it. If it's too dry, you lose money because because it's not holding weight.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Science.
Science. Agricultural science.
Yeah, farmer. We can count to 5.
Right. It's kind of similar to corn. So I mean, I'm from Iowa, but I've never worked on the farm.
Yeah.
I grew up doing construction with my dad and stuff. But
that's honest work, man.
Yeah.
What kind of construction?
Residential, like just building houses. And during the summer when he needed my help, it was a lot of roofing. So that's what pays the bills. He loved building houses. That was just like his passion, is like talking to a customer and figuring out what they want, and he would draw it all out. He'd draft up the whole house and do the, get all the lumber and everything else. But he loved building houses for people, like what they wanted and everything else. That was like his passion. But you also got to pay the bills, and there's a lot better money in doing roofing. Sure, because it's quick work. You can get it banged out in a weekend if it's a smaller house or whatever, and if you have a really big house, and you just bid it up higher, because
not many people want to do that in the summertime because there's not much shade on the roof.
Hell no, it's the worst. It's the worst. And I was blessed to be a larger child, but I was also kind of in the opposite sense, where I was the one humping all the shingles up and down the ladder for him and everything else in the summertime. But it was good. It taught you a lot, kind of like farming, I guess. It's just hard work, and you have to kind of grit down and
when I walked in the studio and I saw you, I was like, geez, this guy's a monster. He's huge. Talking about you. Yeah, you were like, whoa. When you meet people for the first time in person, you have a concept of them from like what you'd see on social media or FaceTime or stuff like that. But then when you see them in real life, it's just good to be with people in real life. So social media is cool. It's got its downfalls, but it's got a lot of good stuff. And connections like this are really cool. But one of my best friends in seminary, he did subcontracting, a lot of framing, a lot of roofing and stuff. And we would always joke, and he would talk about different employees. I would see the same thing down here. It seemed like almost all subcontractors or framers, roofers, they always have like a brand new Chevy, like with one of the side panels ripped off. Like they got the newest truck that seems to get destroyed as quickly as possible. He was talking about one guy he worked with when they were doing shingles or roofing for a number of summers. The sort of like you said, just the biggest guy humping up and down the ladder, carrying stacks of shingles on one shoulder, really not using a ham. He said one day, like, this guy gets up to the top and like the ladder falls before he gets on the roof, so he falls off and like just lands right on his back with the shingles hitting him and everything. He just lets out a bunch of cuss words, jumps up, and just goes right back up again. It's just like a hindrance. But yeah, you guys are made different. But yeah, construction and farming has a lot in common because it teaches a man to be honest. Like you can't short stroke it, you can't cheat it. Like you gotta do it. And if you don't do it, then no one else will. If you don't plant the seeds, if you don't work the ground, like it's not gonna grow. If you don't put the nail in the frame or put the shingles down, like no one else is gonna get it done. Like the work is either done or it's not, and that doesn't lie. And that teaches a lot about honesty, and so I learned a lot of that growing up, and I'm grateful for that. That was one of the big takeaways from my childhood, was just like the importance of honest, hard work. And come from a pretty poor family, but honest and hard-working family, and I'll take that any day of my life. Like growing up as a child, even a young adult, and things being tight, it teaches somebody a lot of stuff. It can if you don't have the right parents or the guardians or grandparents or friends around you to help you through that, it can easily turn you into a victim. And that's just a slippery path that like no one enjoys being around a victim. Like, and I say this kind of in a loose sense, like a self-imposed victim mindset of like, oh well, it's all so hard for me, and just always finding excuses.
Yeah.
So growing up in those situations, that's the importance of honest, hard work and just showing up every day. So I learned that growing up. My family, as I said, pretty poor. For all growing up, they always insisted on going to school because they were like, we gotta, we're gonna get out of the cycle. You got to go to school. I didn't want to go to school because I hated school. I was a little kid. I'm a boy. I'm 40 years old now, but I'm still just a big boy. Get older, just get more expensive and cooler toys.
Right.
and your playtime is more dangerous than it was as a kid.
Oh yeah. Your Hot Wheels get a little bigger.
Yeah. I just got a motorcycle.
Oh, did you?
We'll talk about that later. Nice little kind of hybrid dirt bike. I want to use it for hunting. Yeah,
nice.
Whatever. Neither here nor there. Bigger boy, bigger toys. But So I went to college for a year, and I hated it. It was miserable. Good school. Just hated it, though. And, basically flunked out, and then went to the military. But I didn't go to I went to the Air Force. I didn't go to the military, though, to escape. I wasn't trying to run away from home. I loved home. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for school, because as I just said, I didn't like that. It wasn't about seeing the world, because I really don't travel much. I'll travel a couple times a year for like a big hunt trip. Mm-hmm. Other than that, like if it's for stuff for ministry, it's like a quick overnight or 2-night flight somewhere and just get it done, because I just like being at home. I've always been a homeboy. Mm-hmm. Homeboy and a homebody. But there was just something in my heart about, now I know it's the Lord. It was the Lord inviting me on this adventure. Yeah. Okay, here's comfort. Here's home. I say comfort in the loose sense. But like, this is the place that home. And if you're going to grow, you're going to have to break out of the shell a little bit. So yeah, 2005, I enlisted in the Air Force. Went in to be a SEER instructor, so it's kind of like one of the survival and evasion, kind of like one of the special op things. And it's pretty.
It's hardcore.
Yeah,
I mean, I have some friends that went to SEER school, and they're like, dude, that fucking sucked. It was terrible.
Kicks your ass.
Yeah.
And that was what I was really wanting to do. I mean, it would have been perfect for a little farm boy. Just, it's like Boy Scout stuff, except you're getting paid for it every day, right. And you got cooler stuff to use camping. Went in to do that. Everything was checking out perfectly. Went through basic, great. Went through the initial part of the indoctrination course for that. Everything was like, by and large, everything was good, except there's one more thing that I learned at that point. I got washed out of that. Didn't end up making it. Got put into logistics. And so I was initially furious about that.
Yeah. Because I was like, going from SEER to logistics.
It's like, damn it, I don't want to. I signed up for this, and now I'm just going to be a mailman in camouflage. Right. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But that was such a blessing. The Lord was at work in it, because when I thought I was digging deep, I grew up learning about hard work, and I could do it. But I was missing part of the mental aspect of it. And so by getting washed out of that initial course, like, it kind of slapped me a little bit and said, all right, what you thought was hard wasn't really. And so what I learned in that was kind of a growth mindset of, okay, you're always growing, Stephen. And so you've always got to be pushing the limits. And so then I did this logistics course, and I was like, all right, screw it. I guess I got to make this I'm going to do it as best I can. So I studied, anyhow, finished it, did very well, sent to Germany. I was over there for about 2.5 years or so. And that was really cool. Ended up getting a pretty cool job right out of training, basic training. I was doing quality control. So I got a military car, and I just basically drove all over Germany when the people were PCSing. And I would be like the liaison between the moving companies and the people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So it was really cool. Everything from E1s to O10s, everybody on the spectrum. I was going to visit, and which was really cool. But the Lord was in that too, because that gave me a lot of quiet time. And so I spent so much time alone in the vehicle, just thinking, listening to music, reflecting, praying. And in that time, that's when I kind of heard the call to priesthood. And the way it started was like these random ideas. I would be on a forklift, or I'd be in the car, I'd be doing something, and I get a random idea about ministry. Like, oh, what if I went into ministry? And that was kind of it, but it was bizarre. Like it wasn't connected to anything I was doing, and initially it kind of surprised me. I was like, oh, what's that about? Oh well, and I'd go back to work, doing what I was doing. But then those things happen more and more often. I realized, okay, this isn't just random ideas. It's not just coincidences. Like, there's something here. So I dug into it, like started praying on it more. And the more I prayed on it, the more I thought about it, the more peace I had. And that's always been something in life, like discerning, like, what am I supposed to be doing in life?
Yeah.
And there are these, it's extremely hard. There's one of the key elements, St. Ignatius of Loyola talks about this in the discernment of spirits, the distinction between spiritual consolation and spiritual desolation. And I'm not talking about warm fuzzies, just because, okay, warm fuzzies, no, it's much deeper than that. I'll try to give like an example. There's been moments in life when I'm just getting my ass kicked. Like, it's one thing after another. Mm-hmm. But despite that, deep down, I know that's what I got to do. And I got a peace about it. So I just go into the battle every day. Y'all have got kids. And so I don't, but I have a lot of friends that do, a lot of people at the church with kids. And so I hear the stories. Like when your baby is 3 months old, 6 months, a year, and he or she wakes up at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., you don't yell from your room, shut up, loser, go back to bed, I'll see you in the morning. Like you get out of bed. I've never met a parent that wants to get out of bed at 2 a.m. to change a diaper or feed the kid.
Yeah.
But they do it. So that's a simple example. But consolation, desolation, in the military, when I start thinking of this stuff of ministry and this stuff like starts stirring in my heart, I really reflect on that and I just get so much peace. So then do it. In the midst of all this, I'm deployed to Central Iraq. I was at Balad Air Base. Bigger compound was Anaconda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet, really cool base. It was huge, gigantic.
Yeah,
And
I've never been to Iraq, but I've had a lot of friends that went there, and they always talk about like Anaconda and Balad and stuff like that. Those are pretty big bases over there.
Yeah. For the early mid 2000s, I mean, there's rockets and mortars coming in all the time and stuff. But like, despite that,
well, what year was
it?
This?
A pretty cush base. 2007.
2007. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't super deep in the Iraq war.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're done 3-4 years.
Yeah. So it's past the initial surge and everything, and it was really at that point when it's building up the country and everything. So everything was coming in through that base. It was basically the portal. Like everything would come in to that base because it was so big.
And so you were in logistics at the time.
Yeah.
So were you doing like a lot of like getting like just keeping track of stuff coming in and then where it needs to go and that kind of stuff? Okay.
Yeah. When I was deployed, I was doing cargo.
Okay.
So in charge of pretty much anything coming in or going out. Yeah. And I was hazmat certified, so I did munitions and stuff like that. I loved it. It was so fun. It was
Really?
12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. We got 1 day off.
That sounds awesome.
It was, I just love working.
Yeah, I mean, that would keep you busy. I'm not like Ashley knows, my wife. I'm not like the most organized person in the entire world. Like when I get ready for hunting, I just throw all my shit in a pack and I kind of go, let's figure it out on the way kind of deal. But I'd be kind of bad at that, like logistics, like keeping all that stuff in track and everything else. But
yeah, well, my own personal life is like kind of like that too. My room's like a wreck, but like a typical dude, like I know where everything is. Someone walks in, they're like, "Holy shit, what's going on in this room?" I'm like, no, I know where everything is. Don't touch anything. So, but when it comes to doing other people's stuff or other things, I can be pretty organized. But, 2008, I get out and go to seminary. I'm in Southern Louisiana for 4 years.
Okay, hold on. So you got out of the Air Force and went straight into seminary. Like you already knew, like into your Air Force career, that this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So you're on that path already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that time I was just discerning, trying to figure out, is this what God's calling me to do? Praying through that. Met with the bishop here, the vocation director, who's kind of like the guy in charge of recruiting the priest or helping guys get to seminary.
And you've always been Catholic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born and raised Catholic. So always been a Christian. And the faith was something that it was a non-negotiable. We did it. Like it was, you went to, you just go. Like you. And so from a very early age, it was instilled in me, not just like teaching. It's not like I was simply indoctrinated into it, but I lived this thing of there's something more to this life than just what's right in front of me. I can get so caught up in the stuff in front of me, sometimes too much now, but there's something more. There's something more. It's kind of like this restlessness of the heart. St. Augustine, he's got a famous line. He's early priest, early bishop of the Catholic Church, big sinner to big saint kind of guy, big conversion. But in his book called The Confessions of St. Augustine, one of the first lines, it says, "Our heart is restless until it rests in you." So this innate, like this interior restlessness that can either be a curse if it's not directed, or it can be the greatest blessing. And it truly is. It's the greatest gift from God because it reminds us that nothing on this earth is going to satisfy us. So you got to dig deep, push far, and go hard, And so that restlessness kind of, from an early age, I was aware of that. And also, luckily, my mom and grandparents and aunts and uncles taught me, like, you're not going to find it here. It's got to be something outside. My dad died when I was 8. I didn't say that earlier, but we were in a car wreck. My father, my 2 sisters, and myself. Dad was 32.
Oh, shit.
My older sister was 11. They both died in the wreck. I was 8. My little sister was 3. So that kind of, that screws with the little guy's brain, little 8-year-old boy.
That's a big, damn, I can't imagine that. I mean, like I can't, like you hear of like single moms doing the best they can and everything else, but it's usually from like a divorce.
Sure,
so it's a completely different situation. We were talking like a widow, you know? Like that's a totally different way to be brought up by, you know, your mom and stuff, and everything else. But
my grandparents, they did a lot to help us. A couple of uncles were always there with me, and you know, kind of took me under their wings. But yeah, Mom, she busted her ass, and she's one of the hardest working people I know. Forced to be reckoned with, I guess, kind of like most moms.
Yeah,
you know, can be sweet as cake, but bitter as vinegar. You know?
Yeah, especially Southern moms from right here. So,
but she taught me how to work hard.
Wow.
But yeah, I loved her. Did the best she could with what she had, and
God bless her. That's like, so that's got to be like, I mean, it's obviously very hard for, you know, a kid. But you know, like being the mom and stuff too. Like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine the struggles and everything else that come along with that.
Yeah, her and Dad just found out that they were pregnant, or not they, both of them, but Mom was pregnant, of course, with his help. But but she was pregnant a little later, about a month after the accident, because it was still right then. She goes into the doctor for a checkup, and the doctor's like, yeah, we found another kid in there. You're having twins.
What?
Yeah. So Mom was pregnant with twins. Yeah, going through all that.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Basically, grew up as the oldest kid. Biologically, I'm the second. Most of life, pretty much, though. The oldest, a little sister, 2 little brothers. And, I love them all.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's cool. Yeah, that's a lot to grow up with. I'm a 40-year-old, and I think I just said that earlier. But I started doing counseling a year ago. As guys, we don't talk about this stuff. You know, like and I'm the best of it. Don't talk about the emotions. Bottle them up, figure it out, go work, sweat a little bit. Don't spill it to anybody, you know. And have you seen the Family Guy skit where what's his I forget the guy's name, like the main dad or whatever.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah. I think it was Peter. And his daughter was like crying and getting all emotional and stuff. And then she's like, "Dad, what do I do with this?" And then he's like, "Well, I'll tell you what to do. Just take that feeling and push it deep down into your chest." And then so the girl is like crying. She's like, "Oh, I feel better." Wait. And then it's something like, "Am I supposed to have this sharp pain under my ribs?" And then he says, "Yeah, take that and suppress it too." Or take that and push it down too. So yes, me, you know, it's kind of funny, but that's what we do.
It is literally what we do.
And there's a time to do that, because we have to be the providers, the one that take care of people. I am a Catholic priest, as you can tell with the uniform I'm in. But, for those who are listening and don't know, like, we don't get married, so I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, but I'm still a provider. I got to take care of the people at the church. You know, they call a priest father in the spiritual sense, just like a biological father gives life to family, provides, takes care of, and defends. Spiritually, because the spiritual realm is real. Like we have that duty to give life spiritually through the sacraments, through baptism, through Holy Communion, through reconciliation, forgiveness of sins, anointing of the sick. We give life spiritually through all this, not because we're perfect, but we're a conduit. Very often God calls the most broken people. But we got to give life, and there's times when we have to suppress, push aside these emotions, but we got to deal with them. So, yeah, I started bringing this back to the childhood stuff in my story. Like, I started doing this about 1.5 years ago. It's been brutal, man, but it's been so good. And So
you said you started therapy and going through that. Are you going to like another priest, or are you going to like
it's actually a lady that I go to, and it's a really cool program. It's called Catholic Psych, and they'll partner you with a mentor or a therapist, counselor, whatever you want to call it. What's cool though is her name is Kate. She lives in Connecticut, I think, but there's a program that we use every single day. Like we'll talk. It's a recording that we send back and forth. She'll send something to me. I'll listen to it whenever I have time, chew on it, think about it, and I'll send something back to her. 5 or 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe a day.
So you're not like get on the phone with her and doing like a Zoom call.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
no,
okay.
and that's a cool dynamic because it gives you time to to process it.
Yeah.
So often in life we have to make decisions right now. Most of the time, as you grow up, you get better at making those decisions, but not always, And so the good thing about this is it gives you time to think about it, chew through it. But so I've been working on that and just learning myself, knowing more of my wounds, my strengths, my weaknesses, my talents, et cetera, everything in between.
It's been helping quite a bit. Like just
so much, man.
Really?
So much.
Man, because after I got out of the Army and stuff like that, I tried going to therapy a couple different occasions, I guess, and it's just like, this sucks. I was just like, this is not good. I also went to the VA. Yeah. Probably not the best conduit of help. Sure. But it's like, started talking with them. I went to them one time, and she's like, oh, yeah, how do you feel? And I was like, okay. I went in there with mindset too. I'm like, I'm just going to lay it all out there. Laid out part of it, like the intro, I guess. And the first thing she asked me was like, do you have any guns at home? I'm like, nah, we're done here. I'm like, we're not doing this anymore. And like immediately I shut down. I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. Like maybe this is my, I don't know, thinking too far into things. But like when you see all these laws and stuff like coming up about gun laws and stuff like red flag laws and everything else, I'm like, oh, okay, hey, you're going to send some fucking guy to my house and try to take my guns away. It's like, listen, like it's not that serious. It might sound serious to you because you don't understand, but at the same time, like that's the first question you ask. Right. It's like, get out of here.
Right. Because then that immediately breaks trust. Like kind of what's laying behind that question, not necessarily, but a lot of times it's an initial suspicion from them on your part, and instead of an openness. Like any relationship has to be open and vulnerable, and if it's we're just so damn quick to put labels on people, you know, and I'm guilty of it. I do it all the time. Like I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do it too, but as a culture and a society, I think it's come out of this whole 80s, 90s, early 2000s, especially like participation trophy award kind of thing. Like little Timmy goes to his T-ball game, plays this season. They don't win a single game. The kid strikes out every time in T-ball, or if he does hit the ball, he runs to third instead of first. It's like, what the hell are you doing, kid? And then at the end of the season, it's like, yay, good job, Timmy. Like, no, not good job, Timmy. You didn't play the game.
He striked out T-ball. Right. Like, who does that?
Right. But then it creates this whole thing of entitlement, and then just the easy life. You know, life's not easy. You know, and to give participation awards is like one of the biggest lies and disservices that we can do as adults.
Right. Well, I think with kids and stuff, especially, we're trying to like bring them up and get ready for the real world. Yeah. The real world. Jeez. It's like we're trying to get them ready for it, and if that's not how it works out there in real life, it's like you're not getting you are truly, especially when you're talking about work and raises and careers and all that stuff. It's still a meritocracy in a lot of places. So it's like if you're not doing very well, you're not going to get compensated as well. Right. And you're going to be looking around like, well, why the hell did why is he getting promoted over me? Yeah. Why is that person getting promoted over me? Or well, why is this? Why is that? And it's like you're not understanding because you're too used to getting, I guess kind of like participation trophies and catered to your whole life and everything else. And you get out there and you're just like getting passed over and life's unfair. And the next thing you know, you're a communist.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like
doesn't help businesses, doesn't help nations. And again, whenever I got washed out of the initial job in the Air Force, they didn't say, good job, Stevie. Like they're like,
yeah, right.
Dumbass. All right, you're going to a different job. Like,
good luck.
Shoot. Come on. Like, yeah, exactly. But I dug deep, got hit in the face and had to get up. But so it plays into just the bigger story of life, this restlessness and everything, and you just got to dig. I just wanted to mention the whole counseling thing because it's been so big for me. As guys, we don't talk about it. I'm not saying like we have to go and be emotional and stuff like that, but it's important. Like we got to work through that stuff. So I know a lot of hunters, a lot of like really masculine guys are listening to this. Some of them may think, oh, he's a dumbass. He's a weak boy. He can't handle it. Well, yeah, say what you want, but I mean, you're carrying something in your chest too. And we can lie to ourselves all day. Doesn't mean we have to paint it all over the place and brag about our brokenness or talk about it too much, but you got to recognize it. If you don't know your weak spots, then you're gonna lose the war.
Yeah. Well, like you said, like there is a box that we all generally put all of our problems and stuff into and tuck it down as deep as we possibly can, but boxes get full eventually.
Yeah.
And you have to do something with the contents when they start spilling over. Right. And you're not just going to leave it laying all over the floor or like blowing all over the place. So it's like, obviously we're talking about a hypothetical box inside of your guts, but it's like, but like eventually it does spill out. And how is that going to spill out? Is it going to spill out, in a really aggressive manner? Is it going to spill out in a really like sad manner? You know, are you just going to hole up in a room somewhere and just cry it out, or are you going to blow your brains over the wall?
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's like it all spills out and comes out eventually in some form. So it's like, it's better. I've realized, like, and I don't go to counseling, but I do have some confidants I talk to, some people that I talk to, and everything else, that as much as whenever stuff does start bothering me and stuff like that. But, you know, if you don't do that, then it is going to come out eventually.
It will. Yeah, we all need those people. We all need a truth teller. Like, we all need these friends in our lives, and it can be different people. Sometimes it's the same person that does all these things, but a lot of times it's not, based on temperaments in our relationships. But we all need a friend that and a person that we can just pour it all out, and they'll just simply sit there with us. We also need a friend. Sometimes it's the same person, but a friend that's going to slap us, like, and say, "Hey, you're being a dumbass, so you need to stop." You know, so we need somebody in our lives that loves us enough to call us out on our stupidity.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
And also one to love us in our brokenness. Another one just to stand there and fight with us. You know, like, I don't know what the hell's going on either, but we're going to get through it together. Let's just go. You know. So that's kind of life. I just mean it's a good thing. I just want guys and gals to think about that.
I think it is a good thing, because, like I said, especially with men, it's like and it's tough. You know, it's very tough, especially when you're talking, like, and that's why I think, like, guys need male friends too. Like, you can't just, you know, my wife's great, but I need to talk to some guys sometimes. You know? And, like, everything else, like, there's only so much stuff I can put on her shoulders too. Right. You know, kind of thing. But it's like you need to be able to talk to other people and everything else, and kind of wade through this, because I mean, humans are like social creatures, if you will. Like, we're not meant to be, you know, like, super solid. Because there's some people, obviously, like, especially Alaskans, for some reason, they're just like, yeah, I'm by myself, dude. Yeah. Like, whatever, you know. But we are pretty social. Like, we do need more people around us, and it's better that way, I think, when you, especially when you're talking about, like, issues like that and mental health issues and everything else. And it's hard to go talk to, like, a professional sometimes for men, just because stay away from the labels, right? And you don't know what's going to come from that and everything else. So. And
if somebody doesn't fit, if you do go try to find someone to talk to, like your experience, like, follow those little spidey senses, you know, that you have in your gut of, like, yeah, this person's not checking out. All right, cool. Go to the next. Like, find someone else. It's you're not there to make them feel better, right? So don't worry about hurting their feelings, and find someone that you can trust in.
But you also can't give up. I guess the thing is, like, I guess I haven't given up, I guess, like, hope when it comes to that kind of stuff. But when it comes to, like, professional help, it's just kind of one of those things where, I don't know.
It's hard to find.
It's hard to find the right one, and it's kind of shopping around or whatever you need to do. But you need something, because you can't give up, because eventually, like, the male suicide rate is really high, like way higher than women. And I truly do think it's because, generally speaking, women have they're a little bit more social than us. Like, they have their girlfriends that they talk to about everything. Yeah. And guys are just like, I'm going to go to work. Sure. And just come home and just leave me alone, kind of thing. You know, it's like, men are generally a little bit more solitary than women. And I think that's probably a big reason why the suicide rate's so high in men, especially when you're talking about veterans. Like, with veterans and stuff like that, talking about solitude, like, I mean, we come from an organization that preaches, you know, like, brotherhood and, you know, camaraderie and all these great things. But then when you get out and you lose that, you're just like, oh shit, I am alone.
Hopefully some changes happen. We'll see what happens. But so many promises made to military personnel, men and women. But you know, in this context, with the men and the workload and even the jobs, you got 18, 19, 20-year-old boys, really. I mean, you're a young man technically, but you're just learning how to tie your shoes. I mean, going overseas and going to war, literally. Excitement. Yeah, you enlist, do this, and then you do it. It's a cool, fun job. You get all the support, like you said, but then when you're done, they're just kind of like, well, adios, amigo. So I hope some changes do happen for better veteran care.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be nice to see. That's the thing. It's like, we both went through the out processing of the military in different. I was Army or Air Force, but I'm assuming Air Force maybe it was a little bit better. I don't know. It was pretty decent.
3 hots and a cot's not bad, but
okay.
Yeah. But
it's like when you're getting out though, it's like it is. They have these programs and stuff. Like when I was getting out, they had this out processing. It was a whole process. And
sure.
You can go to these classes like to teach you business and entrepreneurship and everything else. That's where I learned. I got some training on how to be a wind tech, and they helped me find a job like right after the military. And I jumped right into being a wind tech. So I was working on wind turbines, and it's like that was nice, but they don't do a very good job of like actually. They try to get you ready for work outside, which is very important, obviously, but they don't. It's just. They don't really get you ready. And how could you get ready for like the everyday life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't. You live it. You do it. Crash and burn and do it with a friend. You mentioned the turbines, totally unrelated. Well, I guess it's related to that, but they just put up the first wind farm. Is that what they call them? In my hometown. So there's 33 of these windmills just all around our family farm. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I don't like them.
I knew it. I don't either. I worked on them.
I don't know how effective they are or anything like that, but they're an eyesore, especially growing up there in the Delta. It's flat as a pancake. Personally, I love that, but you see the sunrise, you see the sunset every day. It's beautiful. Get good gas mileage. The roads are long and straight, so it's easy driving. That being said, I can appreciate mechanical and architectural engineering, and they're impressive. Those things are huge. They're huge. Gigantic. Anytime I go back home and I take a friend with me, I'll always drive up to those. There's an associate pastor here. He's from Nigeria. And we went home for Thanksgiving. His name's Joel, Father Joel. And he's been a priest now for 20 years. Great guy. Take him home, and he's fascinated with everything. We go back, and I meet up a buddy and put him on a tractor for the first time. And he's just like a kid. But on the way to the house from the farm, we go to the windmills, and I pull up right beside it. I'm like, okay, Father Joe, get out and look at it. And and then you're looking up, you're just getting dizzy.
Was it running?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so you hear it like whoosh.
Yeah. It's insane. They look like they're going so slow, but there's no telling how fast they're spinning. But
about 200 mile an hour. Ugh. Yeah, at the tip, like if you were to gauge it, like it looks really slow, but with obviously the engineering side of things, like it does look like they're going really slow, but they're so big. If you were to put like a speedometer or something like that, or on the tip of it, it'd be about 200 mile an hour. It's whipping.
Insane. So it's insane. And they move a lot too. Like you don't realize it, but
oh yeah, when we were commissioning them, you had to do this test where it'd be like an emergency brake test essentially, right? And like emergency shutdown just to test everything, make sure it doesn't fall apart. So we'd have it all commissioned and it's running, produce, and then you'd hit on the controller, you'd hit it and make it do that and start counting down. You have to get out of the turbine, get back far enough, and you watch it, and it just locks the whole thing up.
Whoa.
It pitches the blades and locks everything up, and you watch that thing from below, and it's just like, whoa, and like bends. You see it like bend, and then like whip back and just flop around. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is insane.
As ugly as they are, when they were building them, it was wild. The tractor trailers bringing them in. They had to read. I mean, you know this. You built them, but I guess most people listening may not. Like they had to put like these extra roads through fields and stuff so they could make the turns. And it's insane, just massive. But so when they stop, is it a gear or is it magnetic? Is there a brake?
Brakes, big brake pad. They have a big brake rotor and big brake pads up there. But a lot of the braking and the deceleration comes from pitching the blades.
Okay.
So a lot of that happens from pitching the blades and stuff. But then there's a giant brake rotor with a giant, it's like a brake that goes on your car. It's just huge, and it just locks it up.
That's good.
That's how they end up burning down sometimes when the brakes aren't done right, and then you sit there and rub, they get super hot, and then
they've got to make a ton of torque.
Oh yeah, it's insane. So those things are pretty impressive. They are. I don't like them either because living from Iowa or growing up in Iowa, like when I was growing up, there was no wind turbines, and then they slowly but surely started plopping them up, and now they're all over the whole state. It's insane, but like the flat terrain that is in Iowa, we had the most beautiful sunsets. Now it's just turbines in the sunsets, which some people will appreciate that too, and everything else. But I don't care for them, and I worked on them. But I'm not like a big green energy guy. Like I'm driving a big diesel pickup truck. It's like, but they are probably, well, this is what they told us, whether it's propaganda or not. They are the most efficient, the best source of green energy. When it comes to size, like amount of energy produced compared to like size that takes up on the landscape.
Sure.
They're the best. Like,
that makes sense. Solar. That makes sense. Because you can still farm under it.
Yeah.
The fields all around it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it only takes up, in the grand scheme of things, not very much space. And you have a solar field that takes up huge swaths of land and just swallows up the entire landscape and just ruins it. It's like those are way worse, but they're not as tall. So people can overlook them a little bit easier. Yeah. And wind turbines are kind of right in your face, like, haha. Got him. Here we are. Green energy.
We were talking about the VA stuff and the transition, out of the military. I was really fortunate whenever I went to seminary straight out of the military, and a lot of people ask on a pretty regular basis when this comes up, I bet that was hard. It was a hard transition. Actually, it was extremely easy. A daily routine, structure. There's a hierarchy. You have a superior that you're under. You wear the same clothes every day, a uniform every day. You got to show up. If you don't show up, you're in trouble. If you don't complete the task, you're out. It's a very rigorous program of formation, is what we call it, seminary formation. It's not just the education mentally, but they're also teaching you how to be a virtuous man, how to apply your life principles that you received growing up, how to apply them to life, and growing closer to the Lord, growing closer to things, to something bigger, to someone bigger, to Christ. So that's an 8-year process to become a priest, and it's a lot of school. And it's not like you don't just spend 8 years to complete a 4-year degree. It's pretty close to a doctorate when you finish with everything. And so I did my minor seminary. They call it minor and major. So the first 4 years is minor seminary, the first period of preparation. And you study philosophy. You get a degree in philosophy. The second 4 years is another degree in theology. So they're two different 4-year degrees. But they're freaking intense. In minor seminary, I was in southern Louisiana at St. Joseph's Abbey. It's a Benedictine monastery. So like the monks, the guys like you see in movies with the black robes and the hoods, and the ones that chant and stuff like that, get up at 5 a.m. to pray and then work all day. We were with those guys.
Oh, so wow.
It was sweet. They had 1,200 acres of property in southern Louisiana. Loved it. Loved it. It was, but studied philosophy down there. That was 4 years.
So you were waking up and doing the put on the hood and chanting and stuff?
No, I would get up a little bit later, around 6. But the monks, they would do their stuff. Monks, we would have our school, but we could join them whenever we wanted to. And I joined them on a pretty regular basis.
Okay, so let me stop you there. Yeah. Monks and nuns, they're just a totally separate entity within the Catholic Church. Yeah, so it's a monk, a nun, religious brother or sister. It's a man or woman that would fully dedicate their life to the Lord, right, and living that out in ministry. And so there's there's a lot of different ways. Some of them, for example, some of the nuns or monks will live what's called a cloistered life. And so basically whenever they go in to the house, to the monastery where they're at, they're basically there until they die, which is pretty intense. Like it's a very special calling within a calling, basically being a hermit. Some of these communities, these monasteries, though, you're not a hermit because you're living with other people, but all you do is you wake up and pray and work. That's all you do. But what do they do every day? They work? They're just working the ground?
A little bit around the monastery to keep it going, but their main job is to pray.
Really?
Yeah. Because the spiritual life is, if this stuff that we're talking about is real, if God is real, then the repercussions of that are astronomical.
Yeah.
So I could work all day, a 9 to 5, and make money, buy a house, do all this other stuff. It's good. It's necessary for society. It's necessary for survival. We got to do this stuff. But when we die, we don't take any of that with us. So again, going back to what I was talking about earlier, there has to be something more.
Yeah, those are the Egyptians. They take their stuff with them.
Yeah. Bury me with my cat. I don't have a cat. I got 2 dogs, but
good for you. So monks and nuns, they're just at the monastery. Their whole purpose is to walk around and pray.
Pray, yeah. Okay. A lot of them, that's their charism. Some of them have charisms like Some of them have hospitals, and they'll do nursing. Some have schools, so they just teach all day. Some have there's a group called the Franciscans of the Renewal that are in a lot of major U.S. cities, and they just do street ministry. These guys will go out and go through the hoods, the barrios, just the rough areas of town, just walk around and just be a living example of Christ. And so they're going, walking up to complete strangers and just talking about Christ, meeting people where they're at, hearing their story, and journeying with them. It's about the accompaniment. Yeah. So they don't go in and say, you're a loser, you're a sinner, you're going to hell.
Yeah, that's Baptist.
they walk up and they say, like, what's up, man?
Huh.
Yeah, like, and just hear their story. And then what happens is that the person feels loved. Like, okay, I'm seen, I'm heard. Maybe I'm not all alone on this big planet that we live in. Because that does something. Like we were talking earlier about friends and having companionship. And the danger in all these emotions and just the whole life experience is isolation without hope. Whenever we're isolated without hope, things get dark fast.
Yeah, they do.
I've been there before. All of us have been there. The problem is when we stay there, when you're isolated without hope. And so being with somebody that loves you just because you are who you are, like that pulls you out of yourself. And that's what evangelization is. That's what preaching the gospel is. That's what the good news of Christ is. You're not alone on this thing. But at the same time, you're not good where you're at. You got to be somewhere bigger, somewhere better, somewhere higher, right? And that's the call to holiness. And so these monks and nuns, like, their life will be dedicated to that. And I'm a priest. I'm what's called a diocesan priest. They used to call us a secular priest. And so instead of me living in a monastery,
it's called a secular priest.
Yeah,
okay.
Because we're in the world.
Oh, sure.
We're not closed in a monastery, or we're not doing a very specific ministry at a hospital or school. Even though we have a school here, almost 300 kids, that's a big part of the ministry, but it's not the only thing. So every day I'm at the school. I'm doing church services. I'm counseling, doing counseling sessions with people, preparing people for marriage, doing funerals, going to the hospital, little bit of everything. So we're not specialized in any single thing in ministry. We're kind of like a Swiss Army knife, just expected to do a bunch of stuff with what we have. So that's kind of the different kinds of ministry.
Background, that kind of helps.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Meet people where they're at and journey with them.
I've always wondered that, 'cause we went to France not too long ago.
Oh, cool.
And we hunted roe deer.
Oh,
and
sweet.
Yeah, but we took a little time. We got there a little early. We hung around Toulouse, which is southern France, and we hung out there for 2 days? Yeah, about 2 days. We hung out there until the hunt started, and we were like walking around, like, oh, what do you want to go see? Like, what else is there to see besides old churches? So we were like going around. We looked at some of these old churches and stuff, and we walked into one, and there was a bunch of nuns walking around. Like, wow, this is like a real church, like a church. Like, there's like, this is, because you don't see that in Iowa. We don't have a monastery that I know of in Mitchell County, Iowa. So it's like we're like, like seeing all this stuff and seeing like how big the church was and how grand it was. It's just like, whoa, this is like breathtaking. Yeah. And we went and looked around some of these churches and just like amazed at like just the awe of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've always been curious of like, with like, I guess like monks and nuns, like what do they do? Like just kind of walk around there. They're on like I guess you call it a field trip maybe or something like that. But they go around to all the different churches and just like pray in them.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
Because spiritual warfare is real, and they're kind of like the frontline fighters. Yeah. Satan hates us. He wants to do everything he can to bring us down. And so these people, if we believe that, if we believe in the spiritual life, and it's real, I believe it, I live it, I'm in it every day, then we got to take it seriously, and these brothers and sisters do. So they're they're kind of like on the spiritual front lines. I'm in the spiritual trenches, kind of with the people, and so it's a team effort. Yeah. So that was in Louisiana. That was with those guys. It was really great. The monks, the Benedictine monks, have a phrase, "Ora et labora." That's the Latin phrase, "Ora et labora," pray and work. Pray and work. Pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. You break it down like that, yeah.
Work hard and strive for something more every day.
That's cool. Okay. So you were going through seminary.
Yeah.
It kind of derailed with the
monk
and nun talk, but
that's cool.
Curious,
Ask all the questions you want. After that, I went to Rome I was at basically the Vatican for 4 years.
Really?
Lived at the North American College, which is just right outside the wall of the Vatican. And then I went to a couple of different universities when I was there to study theology.
Okay.
And really, really old universities. Again, you mentioned the churches in France, the churches in Europe. There's some beautiful churches here, but for us, architecture is another way of preaching the gospel. So a big thing is what's called the transcendentals: the good, the true, and the beautiful. Those three things: what is good, what is true, and what is beautiful. Point towards God, and they reveal the goodness of God. You see something that is, you hear truth, for example. Let's say you hear truth, and you're like, this is it. I will die for this because this is true. It pulls you out of yourself. The same thing with something that's good. They're very similar in that regard. But the third one, that of beauty, is really, you said the word awe. Like you walked in this church and just you were filled with awe. Those are the moments whenever in life, whenever you just stop and words don't suffice, like those are moments when you bump into God. And the transcendentals are kind of ways of bumping into God, or God tapping on your shoulder. And so the architecture, to bring it back to that, is part of the way that we live our faith. Whenever we go to our services, it's not about feeling good. Like that, I think we really do a disservice to people whenever we try to preach the gospel to make them feel good.
Yeah.
This is Holy Saturday. Yesterday was Good Friday, the day when Christians really remember the crucifixion and death of our Lord. I'm pretty sure he was not comfortable on the cross, And
It's not comfortable. It's the Passion of Christ.
Right.
Didn't look great.
Yeah, I know. And so it's Pope Benedict. He was the Pope before Pope Francis. Now we have Pope Leo. He had a beautiful line. You were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness. And so to bring it back to the architecture, it's a beautiful thing, but when you go to the worship, it's about properly ordering your life, not about feeling better. Feeling better comes as a secondary thing to properly ordering your life. When you get those things out of turn, that's when you have problems. That's when you just do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So the feel good part is secondary to a properly ordered life. When you live a good life, by and large, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more peace. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but you'll have peace. So,
no, I do feel that because growing up, I grew up Lutheran, and I've been to a bunch of different Protestant churches. Whether it's Baptist or other Lutheran churches and stuff like that, or non-denominational. As I mentioned before we started recording, I lived in El Paso. And I went to a mega church, and it's just kind of one of those things where it was nice because they had a Starbucks in there and a big bookstore, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty nice stuff. Cool, And you go in there, and they start with big presentation, the smoke, the singing, and the hallelujahs and everything else. I'm like, okay, but it's just I don't know, and I'm not sitting here trying to, if that's what you're into, that's great. I'm not gonna sit here and just say it's bad or wrong or nothing like that, but I just didn't feel it.
Sure.
I didn't go to church for a concert or to hear someone say or preach about tithing for 15 minutes, then teach about how much more money I'm going to get back if I do tithe, actual 10% every single Sunday of my paycheck to this church. So when I was looking around and seeing, I'm like, okay, so they can put a church in a Morton building while the pastor drives around in a Maserati. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to give 10% of my paycheck every week to this church necessarily. And I just didn't feel like that presence, I guess, for me personally. But then when we went to France and I saw those churches, those churches are way more expensive than a Morton shed.
Sure.
But then you see how I guess what I'm looking at is Catholic priests and how you guys are living. You get talk about getting a motorcycle for the first time, but it's I haven't seen a whole lot of Catholic priests super generally very modest. And it's just a different, almost feels like maybe middle class-ish, if that, kind of deal. Yeah. But then you look at some other church pastors and they're freaking millionaires.
Yeah.
And the prosperity gospel and that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't feel it there.
Yeah.
But then going and seeing the big beautiful churches, and it seems kind of counterproductive. That
Sure.
what I'm talking about, like, obviously a lot of money and work goes into building a giant beautiful church, but just the way that like an ancient church is utilized and stuff too is a completely different. Is completely different, and I can't explain it. I'm doing a terrible job.
No,
but you can't explain like how it feels comparative to other churches.
There's something to that of even the architecture itself will take a long time to build. And there's a lot of humility in that. So often the stuff that we build now in our societies and cultures, we want to do it and get it done so that my name can be on it. This is my building. This is I did this project. Whereas for the greatest history of Christianity, churches, they would take hundreds of years to build. They would last 800. There's churches all over Europe that are 2, 4, 6, 1,000 years old, older, and.
But like King Philip would start a church, but then it wouldn't be done by the time he died.
Correct. Yeah.
So
yeah. It's like
it wasn't like King Philip's Catholic Church,
right?
Necessarily, it was always like a saint, someone that's already dead.
Right. I'll do it. I'll build it. I'll put my time into it. But I'm going to die. The building will still be here. So it's about
like planting a tree.
Right.
Like, you're not going to see the oak tree produce oaks or produce acorns necessarily, probably.
Right.
But it's kind of like that, I guess. I don't know. I think that analogy probably gets used quite a bit in Christianity.
It works, though. It works, though, yeah. Because it's the bigger picture, the long run, the long game. So that's the big part of it. And being in Rome was a really cool opportunity. It gave me just a cool universal perspective of life. I was in the classes I went to, we had around 120 students or so from every continent in the U.S., and it was really, really neat. My third year of studying theology over there, I shared the story with people, with friends and stuff. And my third year of school over there, one of my classmates was an Iraqi, and he was a Christian from central Iraq, and he was just about an hour or so from the place I was deployed to in 2007. And it was just it was one of many moments in my life when God was like, hey, dude, your life's a little bit bigger than what you think. And this world is a lot bigger and a lot smaller than what you realize. So, 8 years before that, we were an hour apart for totally different reasons. And then we're sitting in class right beside each other, studying about, learning about God.
Did you ask him what he was doing over there? Like, what were you doing while I was over there?
Going to school, playing with his friends. Yeah,
we're in a safe space now. You can tell me. You didn't bomb me, did you? No, I'm saying.
No, good guy. That's awesome. Good dude. But yeah, 2016, I was ordained a priest, and so now 10 years, and that's kind of it. But yeah,
so the Vatican. Do you want to before we get off that?
Yeah.
You said you spent how much time there?
4 years.
4 years. 4 years in the Vatican.
Oh.
So that's like its own country.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's a city, but it's like
it is its own
Vatican.
Country.
Right.
It's the smallest sovereign state. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. First of all, also I guess did you walk around and see all the other things?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that we hear about the Vatican. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things there.
Yeah.
A lot of ancient stuff.
Sure.
Did you get to see like a lot of that stuff?
Yeah.
Too? Really?
Yeah.
Because the Shroud of Turin isn't too far away.
No, it's in
It's in Turin.
Yeah.
Which is not part of the Vatican?
No.
No, okay.
No.
But there's a lot of relics.
Sure.
Like ancient relics of the Vatican.
Yeah. The Catholic Church has been around for 2,000 years, so you can hoard a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
a lot of memories, and and we take it seriously because it's important. There's a lot of stories out there, a lot of movies about all these secrets and stuff in the Vatican and these top secret things, and you can't go here, you can't do that, can't see this.
Yeah, specifically.
That's not really the case. Now, are there some things that are protected? Yeah, but it's not because it's a secret, but it's because of the value of it. If you had $1 million cash, you're not going to leave it on your front porch. You're going to keep it safe. And your wife will know where it's at. Other people may know where it's at, but you're not going to advertise it to the world for the sake of the value of the thing. And then you'll use it, hopefully for the good of the world, the good of humanity, the good of your family. Same thing with these things of the church. They're there for the sake of building our faith, of saying 500 years ago, 1,000, 15, 2,000 years ago, there were other Christians here, and their faith was important enough to them that they have this thing, or this is a memory of it, or whatever. And it's just like an heirloom that you get passed down, a pocket knife or something for your great grandpa.
Well, this is even more so. Like you were talking about $1 million, like that's a lot of money. Like, you obviously want to keep all that stuff safe, but it's like that's even more so. Like exponentially more. Like it's literally priceless stuff. Like these things are literally priceless, and it holds. I think, I guess. Doing zero research on it, but I do think this. But it's like it holds like the keys to the truth of the history of Christianity. Yeah, like there's been a lot of talk about the Shroud of Turin and stuff like that, and how it's like not only are the stories proving to be true through science and stuff, but it's kind of like it blows your mind when you really think about that kind of stuff and how important it was to keep like 2,000-year-old piece of cloth, right? It's like. To keep that, for one, protected for that long, especially with all the wars that went on in the region and all through all of history and everything else. And there's been a lot of stuff where, this country gets taken over and then this person wants to burn everything to the ground, rebuild in his image, essentially. Exactly. It's like to be able to keep all that stuff protected while also being persecuted, because like the history of Christianity, there's a lot of persecution going on in that time frame as well. Like it wasn't always. I've heard this talk from people that are. I just had some atheist friends in the military, and they've had this talk too. Like, well, they think it's a lie brought up to essentially control people. And it's like, dude, I don't. If you really look at the history of like Christianity, it's like I don't think that's what people were dying for is a lie, and they definitely didn't have any control over anyone. Like at the time, like Jesus didn't even have control. He had control of like I don't even like say the word control, but he had a small group of people. Yeah. And it's like Christianity was very small. Sure. And didn't have a whole lot of power. Matter of fact, they took the guy in charge and killed him. And it's like kind of not a whole lot of power there. So if I was an apostle and I knew Jesus and I'd say I bought into everything, but then he didn't, do what he said, I wouldn't die for that. Right. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, well, they got him. I guess I'm on my own now. I'm gonna hide it and run away and, and like deny, kind of thing. But a lot of them didn't. Like there was a lot of persecution, a lot of martyrs and stuff, and they weren't. I mean, just humans generally don't die for nothing. Sure, like willingly. Right.
I love hunting. This is kind of like the heart of what y'all do. It's probably the funnest thing that I do. Yeah, it's pretty damn fun. But if God were to like reveal himself and say, okay, Stephen, you'll die tomorrow, but you get to go hunting one more time, or you don't get to hunt ever again, but you still live your life. Like, okay, hunting's gone. Like, I'm not going to die for hunting. Right. As fun as it is.
You get one good hunt. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, right.
Bummer. Yeah. What would you hunt? Frog gigging or something. But here,
that's your one hunt. I'm going to go gig some frogs.
Go get a squirrel. But yeah, it was cool. There's a lot of stuff. Got to see a ton of it. Be close to it. I'll reveal it here. Like the biggest secret in the Catholic Church is there's no secret. It's all out there. It's all out there, and so there's nothing to hide. It's easier to make up a story about it, to say, oh, there's this whole secret underlying agenda, or this other thing, or these little things are off limits. It's easier to say that than to actually use your brain and do a little homework, or to be open to something that may be different than what you believe. Right?
Well, that's probably it right there. Yeah. Being challenged on your own personal beliefs. And no matter how much people want to say, like, atheists have a lot of faith. Yeah. They do have a lot of faith. Actually, probably more faith than Christians, I think, where it's like you're, really going to hedge your bets on just nothing. Yeah. This game of chance, and this whole thing being a game of chance that's wild. I think some wild faith, because there's nothing proven to that. Sure. But like in Christianity, we do, whether you believe it or not, there is proof. And at least, billions of people believe that there is proof and that there is truth in this thing. Right. So I think it takes a little bit more, I guess, blind faith. And that's the thing. It's like, that's the other thing too, is like, I've never heard like a Catholic priest, or I've heard some other not great pastors say this, but like Christianity is never asking you for blind faith. Right. It's like, from what I've seen and read and heard other people talk about, it's like, and what I've done personally myself, like just trying to find the truth, whether it's Christianity or not. You know, trying to find the truth. And every, I guess, self-respecting man of the cloth that I've ever talked to, they're always like, go find it. Like, go figure it out. Like, ask the questions and try to find some holes and go from there and figure it out.
We teach that unabashedly. Good. Go. Like, we're not afraid of the truth. That's what we live for. And so find it. Go for it. Don't make your own, but truly dig in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be mad at God. Don't be afraid to not believe some of this stuff, as long as you're willing to dig in and find the truth. So, and that's something we preach all the time. And yeah, don't be afraid of the truth. But that's one of the reasons why we don't get married, and we try to live rather simple lives, just to fully dedicate ourselves to the preaching of the gospel, the search of truth, and the sharing of beauty.
I was gonna say, because that wasn't always the case. The marriage thing wasn't always the case for Catholics.
And people, there are still some married priests, actually. It's because so being a celibate is what it is the word you would say, like you're not married. And also I'm not like hooking up with women either. So it's not like I don't have a wife, but I got this crazy side gig. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's
you can't tie me down. That's the issue.
No. So it's what would be called a discipline and not doctrine. So doctrines don't change, but a discipline can change. So it's not a 100% mandatory. But the disciples weren't married, or some were early on. They left. Some even left their wives. But Christ wasn't married either. And if I'm going to follow Christ to the fullest degree that I can with my own brokenness and humanity, part of that is, well, he didn't have a wife, and so I'm going to follow him in that way.
Is that why? Like, is that why that rule got made in the Catholic Church? I guess. Well, I don't even know when that was a rule. It was probably just the church.
Yeah, so that's a big part of it, to follow that example of Christ. But the bigger reason comes from the scripture passage where the disciples talk about marriage. I don't remember the particular scripture passages. I should know all the verses and everything. But a couple different situations. Like one of them, this person was married, and then this woman was married, and then had all these different husbands. And then the disciples said, okay, whenever she dies, who will be her husband? And the Lord says, you're neither given nor taken in marriage. And that can be hard to hear for married people. But in heaven, one of the reasons that we live it like this is sort of a way of prefiguring what life in heaven would be like. Hopefully we live a life that makes us worthy to get to heaven. And God's grace saving us. But and that's not to take away from marriage. It's hard for married people to hear that. But in heaven, if we truly understand what heaven is, it's being in the beatific vision, seeing God in God's fullness. At that moment, God is the most important thing, the only thing. And that's what heaven is. So when you're with God face to face, there's no concern for some other person other than God. And that actually is good news for married couples. Whenever a husband or a wife has God as their first love, it allows them to love their husband or wife with a fuller love, with the love of Christ. Yeah. Same thing with the kids. So again, this proper ordering. It's all about properly ordering. But earlier we were talking about the prosperity gospel and different ministers and stuff, and they can do their thing. But one of the cool things about the Catholic Church is that at least here in our diocese, the diocese is a geographical area where priests live, and all the priests that I know in other areas of the United States and the world, it's the same. Our salary is fixed. Whether you're a priest for 1 year or for 50 years, your salary is the same. And so they give us a house to live in, which is nice. They'll help cover food and stuff. But other than that, it's you get a little paycheck every month, and it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 depending on where you live a month. So it's not like a ton.
That's not a lot. In today's economy,
right.
That's not a lot.
That's one of the reasons I make knives, to help kind of offset hunting expenses. So
Ashley asked me that on the way here. Like, how does he afford to go hunting?
I mentioned the motorcycle earlier. Hunting is my biggest passion, and it gives me so much life. It's a time to retreat every year, to get away, whether it be a long hunt or just an afternoon hunt here locally. It's a time to be still and silent. Yeah. But pretty much all of my money I put into that, and make knives.
So you're allowed to kind of branch out and make money elsewhere as well, as long as it doesn't take away from the church.
Yeah, now it would be impossible to go pick up a 9 to 5, but making knives, I can I control that. So I'll do 30 minutes this afternoon or an hour here. Or we get one day off, Monday. Monday is my day off. So I'll usually Mondays wake up, pray a little bit, celebrate Mass, work out. Then I'll spend 2 to 8 hours just making knives. And you just kind of just go away with them, And
well, you don't have a wife to pester you until you stop it. So.
Right, exactly. A lot of freedom there, and no children either. But, so yeah, I do get that question often. People say, "Well, you must be making a lot of money or taking something out of the collection plate." Like, no, I don't. It's
it all goes back to like the diocese.
Yeah, all goes to the church and the diocese and everything. I don't. Yeah, we don't get that. Again, that's a good thing about having this fixed salary. I can't. That frees me in preaching the gospel, because if my salary depended on the things that I said, it'd sure as hell be a lot easier to talk about things that make people feel good.
100%. Right? That's exactly what I was trying to get to.
Instead of preaching
in my
the truth.
dumb way, but that's exactly true.
Well, it wasn't a dumb way. You got right to it. It's just echoing, what you said earlier. But if my salary and my income is based off of what I preach, I'm preaching Stephen's gospel, not the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that's not what I'm called to do. So, but people have asked about hunting. How do you do that? I'm like, well, I just save up my money and spend it all on that, and buy once, cry once. But when it comes to hunting, you just kind of want to cry over and over and just get more guns and more bows and stuff. So that's kind of where my investments are and that stuff.
Who do you ask for time off, like PTO? I don't
know. So it's kind of set up.
Salary, PTO, but
we get 4 weeks is what we're authorized for, which is substantial.
That's pretty good.
But the chances of actually taking that are next to none.
So you're kind of like a cop in that sense, where it's like you got time off, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of
time off.
Yeah. Okay.
So it would just come down to making sure I have things covered here, and if I can have things covered and planned, then I can kind of come and go as I want within that time frame. Usually it's 2 to 3 weeks a year that I'll get total, because there's a lot of days off that I won't get, and so those will kind of play in. And but it's basically making sure the things are covered here at the church, or if I'm going out of town, that at least another priest can take care of the priestly things. And then every fall I'll take usually a longer trip, about 2 weeks, go out west somewhere, and then throughout the year, 1 or 2, maybe 3 days, just kind of quick trips. And usually I'll try to put those with my day off, so Monday, then just a Tuesday, Wednesday. But I determine that when I want to go.
So you're not calling the bishop and be like, "Hey, dude, I need to go out west for a bit."
Leave request. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
But so there's not a whole lot of micromanaging when it comes to your church that you're not your church, I guess.
Yeah.
But
sure. Yeah. So I'm, being a pastor means basically the bishop has put me in charge of this place. And so like the stewards and the gospels that either get the talents that have to go use them, or the carekeepers of the farm or whatever, the vineyard. It's like, all right, Stephen, this is your field, your flock. Take care of them. And if I mess up, I get in trouble. If I do good, then if I do good, I get more work.
Yeah, right. It's actually a lot more chill than I thought it was. I thought it was like a big, little more of a, I don't know. I actually had no idea.
Yeah.
So this is like my first time actually talking to a priest. I
cool.
Had a conversation with a Catholic priest before.
Nice.
So
cool. We made history today.
Yeah, right. Oh, here we go. But I always kind of wondered that. And I did see on your Instagram one time you gave yourself communion when you're out hunting.
Yeah. So our form of worship, we call it Mass, or the Holy Eucharist. And it's just a little worship service that we do. It always has scripture readings and then Holy Communion. For us, it's Jesus Christ there, truly present. We truly believe this. This is what we preach. John 6, I'm the bread of life. Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. It's we live John 6. We live the words whenever Jesus says, "This is my body. This is my blood. Do this in memory of me." The memory there, anamnesis, is not, Jesus is not saying, "I want you to have bread and wine and think about me when you do it." The anamnesis in that context was saying, whenever you do this in this way, by my command, the exact same thing is happening. So in the Holy Eucharist, it's a participation in that Last Supper of Jesus Christ, body and blood of Christ, beyond space and time. We don't understand that by our own limitations of space and time. which requires this faith. Like, okay, Jesus said it, so if I can't believe him, then who can I believe? So whenever I go out, to bring it back to what you're saying, give us this day our daily bread. We celebrate Mass every day, the Holy Eucharist every day, receiving the bread of life
every day.
Every day, yeah.
Oh.
And not all Catholics, just Sunday is the Lord's Day, but we celebrate Mass every day here at the church. And whenever I go on vacation, I'll celebrate Mass. I'll be in the hotel. I'll be in a little camper. I'll be on in a tent. I'll find a rock somewhere and just do it out there. And it's really amazing. The Cathedral of Creation. That's what I call it.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. It's kind of because I can't do that. Right?
No, you have to be
I'm not a priest.
Right, you have to
but
be.
That's kind of cheating, because you get to do it all the time.
Yeah,
it's like
great.
No, it's not really cheating. That's more of a, I guess, it'd be like part of the gig.
Yeah,
you have to sacrifice a lot, but you also get to do that stuff.
Right. Yeah, and it's part of. You have to be a validly ordained priest in communion with the church, and so. What does that mean? What does that look like? Well, it means that I was validly ordained by a bishop that was validly ordained a bishop, and the cool thing about that is we have apostolic succession. Yeah. So we can trace this back 2,000 years. You'll see these things of genealogy, whether it be pedigree of animals, horses or dogs, family trees of dads and moms from going back. The same going back to the spiritual life in the church. It's there too. Like we can trace from Jesus, Peter and Paul, through the bishops, through the years, and then under these bishops, they commission priests. Just like Jesus, the 12, the 72, were all commissioned. Mm-hmm. Jesus didn't commission everybody he met. He had very specific tasks for very specific people, and the church, just those ministers are called to give us our daily bread.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
honestly, the apostolic succession, because that's one thing like that Catholicism has, and Orthodox say they have too. Because way back in the day, there was like a schism between the church. Because before, was it like 1200s, 1254?
1054.
1054. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the last part right. 1054. So there's a split in the church, and that's where Catholic became kind of thing. So it was just one church. It's just the church, the Catholic Church, the one church back before that, and then the Great Schism happened, and that's where you got the Orthodox and Catholics.
Yeah,
I guess.
But even that schism, there were theological reasons for the separation. But that being said, the difference between the Orthodox and Roman Church, or for example, one of the Eastern churches and the Roman Church, is there is still an element of valid apostolic succession, and theologically, we align with more things than we don't align with.
Correct.
Whereas a lot of current churches popping up, it's not trying to disrespect or anything, but any Joe Schmo that wants to start a church can do it and preach the gospel. That's good. We need people preaching the gospel, but it doesn't mean that church is necessarily in the lineage of the Christian faith. Yeah.
And the way here we pass by a Baptist church is like William Henry's Baptist Church or something like that. It's like, I don't know if that name was exact right. I didn't say. I didn't really, but it's like a name, the Baptist Church,
right?
And that's different.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or disagree with like Catholicism or Orthodox or whatever it is, whatever denomination you are, it is different. It's a different thing.
Yeah,
it's still, I guess, Christianity, but it's a totally different thing.
Sure, yeah.
Completely different. When you look at the two, they're completely different.
A lot of you mentioned earlier with your trip to France. A lot of our churches or all of them are either named after a saint or an event in the life of Christ, and so because those are pivotal moments. So it could be the Church of the Annunciation, which is when in the Scriptures the angel Gabriel announces to Mary, "Hey, you will bear a child, and he will be the Messiah." Right. So it marks this, or the Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, this divine love of God that takes on flesh. So the image of a sacred heart is this infinite God beyond space and time entering into the confines of space and time. And a heart is a symbol of that. Like if you don't have a heart, you're not alive, right? So this God who is beyond all things entered into his very creation to become a slave to the very laws that he made and to be one with us so that he could redeem us in our fullness. So that, or it's named after the saints. And who are the saints? Well, the saints are, the simplest way I like to put it, are basically the MVPs of the faith. Were they perfect? No. But if you look at MVPs or Hall of Famers in anything in life, whether it be sports, music, movies, media, whatever it may be, they did a damn good job at what they did. They weren't perfect. Babe Ruth wasn't a perfect baseball player. Cal Ripken Jr. was not a perfect baseball player. Dan Marino was not perfect at football. Elvis Presley was not perfect at music. But they all were trailblazers in what they did. They all did a damn good job at it. And so just like we look at the MVPs, the Hall of Famers, in sports and music and all this other stuff to inspire us, again, going back to the spiritual life, if this stuff is real, then it makes sense to follow the examples of the people that did it well. So the Saints, in a nutshell, that's them. They weren't perfect. They did a darn good job, and they teach us how to just show up and keep fighting. The Saints, they were consistent and persistent. That's what they were. They weren't perfect, but they were consistent and persistent. They continued to show up, and they gave it their all. There's a phrase by Ignatius of Loyola, "Agi quod agis." I got a tattoo of it, and it was a motto that he had for his religious brothers, and the Jesuits is what they were. Ignatius Loyola founded the Jesuits. "Agi quod agis." The literal meaning is do what you're doing, but in the context, in the Latin sense of it, is don't half-ass it. Whatever you're doing, go all in, and whatever that is, and that's what the Saints did. They didn't half-ass it; they went all in.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good saying, because that's kind of how I believe too. It's like, don't half-ass anything, or just don't do it if you're going to half-ass it. If you're going to do anything, whole-ass everything. Right. So it's like it's kind of one of those. But like, because you guys involve saints in your prayer. I don't want to say you pray to saints necessarily, but that's kind of a thing that non-Catholics and non-Orthodox kind of look at, and they're kind of like, oh, you're supposed to be, like, not praying to saints and Mary and stuff like that. Like a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I've heard the knock on Catholics and Orthodox on like venerating Mary and the saints too much, where it's like taking away from Jesus. But it's like, I don't see it that way, but that some people do see it that way. It's like, well, they're the people that were super close. It's like they kind of deserve to be I guess, at least remembered. We
should venerate them more.
Yeah.
I mean, I think go back to the Hall of Famers, for example.
It's like saying Michael Jordan took away from the Bulls.
Exactly. No. Yeah. Hey, a damn good basketball player, but he didn't take away anything from the Bulls. He didn't take away anything from basketball. Rather, he gave greater glory to basketball.
Right.
He gave greater glory to the team. And so the Saints, they give greater glory to Christ. And so we should venerate them more. Yeah. And if we believe, again, that's kind of a theme that I've been saying over, if this is real and we believe it, and we believe in eternal life with Christ, then they're more alive than we are. We're still slaves to sin. They're freed from it. So they're more alive than we are. If I'm going to talk to another broken human being about life and journey through them, we talked about accompaniment earlier. If I would do that with a broken person around me, why the hell wouldn't I do it with somebody that's freed from sin and is now living in eternal life with God? They're more alive than me, than us. And so it totally makes sense to do it, So when you frame it that way, but there's again, out of the ignorance, there's a lot of fear or misconceptions on, oh, you're worshiping them. Like, no, the only person we worship is God, and but we venerate the ones that ran the race well. It'd be a lie if I called those people complete losers. It's calling the kettle black. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. They did it well, so why would I knock them? It's like me, if I were to tell Michael Jordan he's a terrible basketball player, like, what? Okay, no, not really.
Let's just forget about him. He's done now.
Yeah,
he's retired.
Washed
forget
up.
about him. Leave it alone.
I know he listens to this podcast. So Michael, just send us a high five or something. Keep up the good work, man.
Yeah. Somehow I feel like this might be the last podcast he listens to. But I'm just not a big fan of basketball. That's probably my issue. Yeah. But so like, there's a couple other things you touched on. We were talking about communion. I do want to. So. I guess growing up Protestant, they definitely look at communion much differently. So Catholics and I think Orthodox too, they believe in transubstantiation.
Yeah.
So can you explain that?
Yeah. So transubstantiation is a big word, basically meaning this thing is completely changed. And it's the bread and the wine through the prayers of consecration by a validly ordained priest, because of the words instituted by Christ, the words that he gives, and the mandate to go and do likewise, means that when we say this stuff, the way that Jesus tells us to say it and do it, in the context in which he tells us to do it, the way he tells us to do it, it has to happen, because God cannot lie. And so he sends the disciples out, go and do likewise, gives them full authority of heaven and earth to continue the mission that he did. The biggest thing that he did, the night before he was betrayed, broke bread, right? And shared the bread, shared the chalice. This is my body, this is my blood. Transubstantiation is just a fancy theological word that we use to say that. We're doing what Jesus told us to do. We say this is what Jesus told us to say, this is what Jesus told us to do. He said that this is his body, this is his blood. Mm-hmm. Who am I to tell him he's wrong?
Right. But I've cut my hand and oh yeah, and licked my finger. It doesn't taste like that.
No, it doesn't taste like blood. And
it's not blood. That's what I'm getting at. I guess from a Protestant view, it's not. It is. I'm trying not to be heretical here, but it's not blood in the sense of coming from my hand. Correct. My cut open hand.
And the bread doesn't turn into a little piece of chewy fat.
Right. Yeah. I've had meat before too.
Right.
It's not. It's not. No. It is. So I guess help me understand how when you can say that it's the literal body and blood of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
When we are picturing shaving off his arm,
right,
and spilling his blood, and here's what I mean.
Right.
It's not it is bread and wine that's changed. It's more of a. It's just. I guess
the substance remains. So so for example, you'll eat it, drink it, it'll still have the flavor of wine, or look like bread, or taste like a small wafer or something. The essence is what changes. And again, this is back because of this is the philosophical, the theological elements to it, which is beyond our realm of thinking. Mm-hmm. What does it mean the essence of something changes? The substance in what it is maintains. It looks the same, feels the same. But the essence, what it is within it, is what changes. That's what transubstantiation is. It's kind of doesn't sound exciting.
I know that's a big hold up for some people, and I've heard other what's his name? He's big on YouTube and stuff. Older guy. He does a bunch of talks on college campuses about Jesus and stuff. Mm-hmm. Connectly. Whatever, I don't know. He's not a priest, pastor or mm-hmm. something. But he's I can't remember what denomination, but he's a Protestant pastor. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing him talking to an Orthodox fella, and they were having this argument about transubstantiation. And I guess I was just curious on Catholics believe, Catholic and Orthodox, you guys believe that the essence of it changes, as in I guess the feeling of it, it's a form of worship, right? It's one of the part of the Eucharist. It's a form of worship. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Protestant, I'm generalizing here when I say Protestant, just all the different denominations. Mm-hmm. Protestants mainly do it out of recognition, right. Not necessarily it's not necessarily a spiritual change,
right?
It's it's a thing,
just a symbol. It's just a symbol.
Yeah, symbol Jesus did it, so we're going to do it here too. Yeah. On Sunday once a month.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But again,
taking it more seriously.
Yeah. Again, it goes back, not to oversimplify it, but just goes back to Scripture. I mean, the different verses I mentioned already. Give us this day our daily bread. The prayer that Jesus teaches us. Okay, what is that daily bread? And again, I mentioned this already. John 6. I am the bread of life. If you don't eat my flesh, don't drink my blood. So, these key things that Jesus Christ Himself said. Eat your daily bread. This daily bread must be me, my flesh, my blood. I don't know what it's okay. Yeah. He's saying that whether we understand how that happens or not is secondary. The fact is, He says it. Are we obedient to His word? And are we obedient to His whole word, or just the word that we can understand? Because that goes back to some of the growth mindset stuff that I was talking about earlier, and this whole element of faith. If it's just what we understand, then that's really limiting what we're living for. there has to be so much more to this. John Paul II, Pope John Paul II, a great saint. He died in our lifetime. He lived in our lifetime. He wrote an encyclical. An encyclical is like a fancy word for a long document from a pope. He wrote a phenomenal one in the mid-90s called Fides et Ratio, Faith and Reason. And he calls faith and reason the two wings that lift the soul to God. And so earlier you were talking about digging in for truth and trying to understand this stuff, not a blind faith. That's exactly what we teach, not a blind faith. We teach a balance of faith and reason. At the end of the day, though, the faith always supersedes the reason. It's faith that pushes the brain on to find answers. In every question that we ask is an element of faith, because in asking a question, you're hoping to find an answer. So you're recognizing a desire for something that you don't have yet. I don't have this answer, but I'm going to ask the question. Hopefully, I get the answer. That's faith, right? So you're leaning into something that you don't have, but you believe it. You believe you'll get something out of it. So, yeah, it's kind of like, in some ways, it's too simple of a way to explain it, but at the same time, it's very complex. And for the Catholic faith, it's all or nothing. So we can't just pick out one little thing of the Bible, one little thing of history that we like. It's all of it. And that kind of adds to the complexity. It can be hard to understand a particular detail if you isolate it from the whole context. It's all connected. So the Eucharist is connected to the priesthood. Priesthood is connected to apostolic succession. Apostolic succession is connected to the understanding of what is church, who makes up church, what is the structure of that church, what is the church called to do, who founded the church, where's the church going. It all goes together.
No, I think that's a great way to explain, honestly. And honestly, exactly what I was kind of looking for is like, because you're never going to understand everything. That's the whole thing I really like about Catholicism and Orthodoxy, is that you guys spend a lot of time on the mysteries of the faith. Like, you spend a lot of time pondering and being philosophical about, and just spending time thinking about all this stuff. And I never really got that in Protestant churches before. It's just kind of like, it's very much like, I don't know, it felt more, and this, I haven't been to every single church in America, but it felt a lot more cherry-picked, where it's like, oh, we're going to talk about this specific thing and focus in. It's almost too narrowed sometimes. And I think, obviously, it's because it's Catholicism and Orthodoxy have been around for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of it just seems a lot more, I guess, there's a lot more time and care put into things you don't understand, and being okay with that, because there are certain things, because like God is outside of space and time and outside of our comprehension, because I can't comprehend that. I'm a stupid human. I can't comprehend eternity. That does not make sense in my mind of eternity. It's like, okay, it never ends, but that doesn't make sense, because everything we see around us has a beginning and an end. It does. Everything does get born and then die. Right. That's the way it works on Earth. And to understand outside of that does not make sense. And I think some people take that for granted, like the not understanding outside of the world, essentially. And
that's why you're not stupid, because you're aware of that greater mystery. That's like a lot of knowledge and wisdom there. So you may be a smart stupid, but you're not stupid. So this bigger context, think of the architecture stuff earlier we were talking about. Recognizing when you're building a beautiful building meant to last, you have to realize that in some ways the building is more important than you are. So you're going to do your part the best you can for the sake of giving greater glory to this building, for the sake of what that building is going to do for people, for lifting them higher. Same thing in this grand context or the grand story of our lives. There's going to be a ton of stuff that we don't understand, but it's not a good reason to throw in the towel. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's false. As a child, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know, but we keep living it, right? We live this adventure. And so whenever you begin to cherry pick, and all these other churches, they have their place. There's something that they're doing, and it's good. But just for us, it's not the whole picture. The whole picture.
And that's the thing. It's like I'm not trashing Protestants. I think I grew up one. I grew up Lutheran, and I went to a bunch of non-denominational churches and Baptist churches in the past. As I get older, and as I spend a little more time like trying to understand this stuff, because it is very important to me. I mean, I have a bunch of tattoos, and my whole arm is covered up in religious stuff. So it's
Nice.
like I don't like. It is very important to me. It's always been important to me ever since I can remember. But I've always just kind of been trying to find, I guess, better answers. Not necessarily like that I'm going to understand everything, but it's just like, I don't even know where I guess where I was going with that. But like there is a place, I think, for Protestants in Protestant churches, because they do a good job of like making it kind of exciting for other people. And I think that there is a place for that. And it's like, if you spend your whole life there, I don't know, I don't know anything when it comes to the afterlife and stuff like that. I try not to think about it a whole lot, just because I think that's going to happen no matter what. And it's my time is spent better not dwelling on what's going to happen outside my control.
Right.
I'm just trying to do as best I can right here, right now, kind of thing. I don't want to sit here and dwell on the afterlife. It's like I take it at face value, I guess, when it comes to what the Bible says and what Jesus has said. But I think there's a spot for Protestants where it does bring in a different sect of people that may not be interested in Catholicism or Orthodoxy, or maybe people that have been slighted by a bad experience in. Maybe they grew up Catholic and they had a bad experience, and then they left the faith. I think it's better to be in a Baptist church than to be not associated.
Exactly. Yeah. Better do something to be nowhere.
Yeah.
And for us, we want everything like that as Catholics, and so it's the not just one little thing. And so that's one of the reasons it's so important to me and to Catholics. I mean, we want it all, not just a couple little things. And each little church will do their part, but John 17, right before our Lord is, right before he's crucified and betrayed and crucified, he has the priestly prayer of Jesus, and in that, it's sort of like his last will and testament. He's praying to the Father, and the key thing he says is that all may be one. And so for us, that would be the problem with countless denominations, because that's not what the Lord said. God doesn't say, I want you to all be one, but do it however you want to do it. Like, no, part of that is a death to self and something bigger, which is why ecclesiology for the Catholic churches is so big. I mean, the understanding of church as one church. It's really neat. So in the Catholic Church, using the example, for example, like the scripture readings, every day the Catholic Church has specific scripture readings assigned. So whether it's here in Arkansas, in Iowa, New York, France, Australia, China, Japan, Russia, every Catholic is going to hear the same scripture readings, which is pretty sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's very sad. And so that's for us, like it's just one of many, many things that show our ecclesiology, our oneness of church, that truly they all may be one.
Is it on repeat, or do you get an email?
No, it's said. It's been said for hundreds of years. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And
wow.
The thing is called a lectionary. It's just a fancy word that means a book of readings, and it's the scriptures, but they're broken up into verses and passages, Old Testament and New for every day, and Psalms, and they're all connected. But it's said it's on a 3-year cycle. So every 3 years, you're going back through the cycle. So
really?
I don't have to wake up and think about what scripture am I going to preach on today. I'm just going to preach on today, or take the scripture passage today. For example, yesterday, Good Friday. The readings that we did for Good Friday were the same ones they've been doing for 1,500 years, 1,800 years, or 2,000 years, since Christ did it himself. But it's little elements like that are extremely important to us. What are often knocked as, that's so much tradition. Tradition's a bad thing. Well, not really. Like, tradition's a pretty sweet thing.
Nice for sure.
So I don't have to kill brain cells, because I don't have too many, but I don't have to kill brain cells thinking about what scripture passage am I going to preach on. But then it keeps me safe too. It keeps me in check, because if it was down to me, I would only pick the passages that I wanted to preach on, that were fun and easy to preach.
Yeah.
And I would not touch the ones that are hard. But by going through this, I'm forced into stuff that I don't want to do, but I'm doing it. So, all right, this week we're preaching about this. You know, now the way that it's preached, you had the same readings at all Catholic churches throughout the world every day. They're all the same, but what will change will be the way it's preached. So before I came here to Little Rock, I was in North Central Arkansas, and I had 2 different churches. They were about 30 minutes apart. One was a college town. The other was a small farming town. Again, same readings at both Sunday services, but I would preach differently to the college kids or the university teachers, the people that lived in town, versus the way I preached to the farmers.
Okay.
So the way the priest preaches is going to be different based on his people.
Okay.
But we got the same readings.
Yeah.
So, but they'll all be one. And again, bringing it back to the conversation of these different denominations. And for us, it's all about universality and living for something bigger.
Jeez, it is really starting to rain out here, isn't it? Can you hear it through the microphones? Okay. Yeah, we're out. For everyone listening, we're in the trailer, and this is my first time ever recording a podcast in the rain, and I never knew how loud it was going to be, but hopefully it's not too distracting.
It's kind of nice.
Is it kind of nice?
Yeah, it's
okay.
kind of peaceful.
Good deal. Good deal.
ASMR.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. I had no idea about all that, because I mean that is one thing I definitely have seen in certain other churches, and whether it's online or seeing it personally, where it's like you really do. You don't know what you're going to get when you come into Sunday. A lot of times it's kind of it just depends on what that pastor wants to talk about that day. It really is, and there is something to that where it's like you can see how things might veer a little bit in whichever direction, good or bad, I guess.
Right. And then the problem with that is like then it comes down to a cult following. They'll go there because of the preacher instead of what's being preached.
100%. He's a superstar in a lot of church. Like, the pastor is a superstar. Like we've seen that with like there's been scandals before, but like the pastor becomes like he's famous. Yeah. And it's like he is the one that people are going there for when it should be should be he should just be the messenger of the word, not necessarily like I want to go meet the famous pastor of wherever the hell, you know.
And we've had, I'm not going to say like we're free from sin. I mean, in the Catholic Church, like we've all got our sins. We've had our ups and downs through 2,000 years. So I mean, we've had problems as well in the church, but again, it goes back to the testament of just because there's a problem there, it does not take away from the holiness of the institution or the community. But rather, like, Christ himself said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it, referring to the Peter the rock. He gives the keys. And, there's something to that. 2,000 years, despite all the ups and downs, we're still together. Black eyes and, stained clothes, but we're still here.
I was say, because that's one thing I was thinking, like pondering on the way up here too. Honestly, it's just like, man, that would be nice if we could kind of just all come back together. Like that'd be pretty nice. But at the same time, like, will that happen in our lifetime? Probably not. Very highly unlikely. Right. I don't know. We do have a American Pope now, maybe. We'll see. But
pretty sweet. I've never met him.
No. Yeah, he's from Chicago, I think, isn't he? Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
it's the first one.
Yeah,
like America hasn't been around that long, and we got a Pope now, so that's pretty nice. But it would be like, I know he did. Is that common for every Pope? Like, because after he got elected, right? Yeah, it's proper verbiage. Yeah. So after he got elected, he had a meeting with like the Orthodox and stuff like that. Is that pretty common for popes to do, or is that Is it okay?
Although Pope Leo's he's really been pushing hard to. Pope Francis did some of that. A lot of that began with Pope Benedict as well, but it's a big thing for Pope Leo. I mean, really to try to do his little part in John 17, that all may be one. So how can we find reconciliation for these splits in the past? Also, historically, this is very interesting. Historically, a lot of these schisms and divisions were actually over extremely petty things, but because of personality and time, couldn't get over feelings or emotions, or he hurt my feelings, or this or that. You stay there, and by the time you go through one or two generations, like it's become a kind of a fixed institution. And so it's really at the heart of all these is pride. That's
what it seems like, honestly, because like going back to the schism of 1054, it's like it was over the Trinity and papal authority, I believe. And the Trinity, for me, it seemed like super trivial. Like, wasn't it just like who came first?
Yeah.
Okay. It was like the Father. I mean, do you? Yeah. I don't want to screw it up.
No, so I believe it's the Filioque way. So like, and so the thing there was like, the East and the West were looking at Greek and Latin translations of the same thing, and words in different languages, especially those ancient languages like Greek and Hebrew. A single word is extremely loaded. Like, it has a lot, and you have to get it in the whole context. And so, is he one with the Father? Is he one after the Father? One beside the Father? In the Father? Through the Father? Like, these prepositions can be taken a lot of different ways, and because of just the simple, it might be not simple. Like the thing with the language, there were holdups there, and but both sides were saying the same thing.
That's what I was going to. I didn't mean to say like the whole Trinity is not trivial. Like, that's a very important
it makes sense what you're saying.
But it's like we couldn't have figured it out.
Yeah,
we couldn't have came to terms and like figured that out, kind of thing. But it does kind of suck. But it's like, because it would be as I'm still kind of just like on the outskirts looking in. But it's like it would be kind of nice if it was one thing, because like, there is a lot of interdenominational kind of like pestering, and I like to hope to think it's more or less like brother sister pestering rather than like we're enemies of each other.
Right.
There was a lot of that, way back in the day with Protestants and Catholics and stuff. There was actual bloodshed that was had, but I think at least in 2026 it's more or less like a brother sister pestering rather than like we hate each other kind of thing, because that's not right. I think I'd like to hope that we can all figure something out eventually, kind of thing. It might take the second coming of Christ to figure it out, but it's like,
who knows?
Damn, but I don't know. I think that's probably actually the majority of the Catholic questions I had.
Cool.
But this is all very interesting because I've only been to Catholic service a few times, but it's something I've been very interested in coming like in my later years of life. I guess I'm in my mid 30s now, so I'm just trying to figure out like, kind of where I want to be and stuff, and what
deep.
makes sense.
Don't be afraid to search. So look for truth, read, study, ask, experience, go and see, and
awesome. I want to take a quick break. We'll take a quick break, then we'll come back and we'll probably hit on like some Father Stephen Gadberry as a hunter.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.